Okay, so I have this show called Tiny Terrors that I'm going to be making a piece for. And it's going to be the first gallery that I'm sending a piece to since before the pandemic. And I'm doing it just because it sounds like it's a fun show. Tiny Terrors, making something tiny and full of terror, right up my alley. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these little like creepy fairy riders. These are going to be the heads. Oh, here we go. You can see the little faces. Here we go. You can see the little faces there. These are snapdragon seed pods. And I'm going to create bodies like hands and legs and stuff out of these dead reptile parts. And they're going to be riding these really creepy beetles. Now, the first thing I got to do is put these beetles and these parts in a moisture chamber so that the muscles will be relaxed and I can reposition all the parts. So then I'll have to pin those into place and let them dry out again. So now I'm in a laboratory and I put into a little container the pieces that I want to have relaxed. I decided the other beetle, I already liked its position, so I'm not gonna go through the trouble of rehydrating it. Then I'm just gonna take a paper towel and I'm going to wet it. Okay, make sure it's nice and wet. Squeeze out a little bit of the extra excess. Then I'm going to open it up a little bit. Okay. Oop. Fold. And then I'm going to stick it in here. Okay, I'm going to cover up the little guys. Alright, see that? And then I'm going to take my moth crystals. Oops, excuse me. They kind of tend to get a little bit solid, but there might still be a bit of crystals that come out. See, there's a little bit of the crystals. Okay. Ooh, so stinky. And that's to keep from mold from growing in there. Or anything else weird growing in there. And then I just cover it, make sure it's completely covered, and I'm gonna leave that in there. Maybe overnight. I'm gonna check it in maybe 8 hours or something and see. It might already be enough because these are such little pieces. But usually I just do it, just forget about it and check it the next day. But I'm on a time constraint, so. Okay, so now it's time for me to open up the moisture chamber. Don't want to touch this wet paper towel with my bare hands anymore because it has the wet, basically mothballs on it. Okay, so here you can see, now these were really stiff before, now I see you can see with the tail how it's more pliable. So what I can do now is chop off little pieces, like a hand or something, and reposition it. I'm going to fill this hole with this JB Weld putty. Okay, time to make a saddle for the beetles. So decided to have one gold tone themed beetle and one silver toned. And so I wanted to try to find as many matching pieces as possible so that it's obvious that these are companion pieces. So I found these really cool kind of like gilded leaf pieces. And so I'm going to take this and bend it up and turn it into a little saddle. So I cut it and I bent it and I drilled holes so that I could attach these really pretty matching gold chain. As I take a break from the beetles and the beetle and the weevil, I'm going to work on the creature that is writing them. So you remember I had a couple of little reptiles that I put in the drying chamber, the moisture chamber. And now I've, gosh, this fucking lighting is so weird. Let's see. Start to focus. Here we go. So I don't know if you remember, but this right here is what I was starting out with. And this is a seed pod. It's a snapdragon seed pod. And so what I did was I took one of the frogs and I peeled the skin off to expose the bone and the muscle. And then I just took the torso, I chopped off the head, which is, where is it, right here. And then I took the arms, of course, and the hands. But I took the legs and I cut off pieces of the leg because, frog legs are really long. And then I bent them in the opposite direction of what they're going to create a kind of, leg bone with the knee and an ankle. So here's the little guy. So this is the first one. I just got to make the second one. The way I'm attaching the head to the torso is I took a regular sewing needle, and because I need something really thin, and I'm able to take the sewing needle and put it down. Oops, I have to do this holding the freaking camera in my hand. So it goes into the spine quite easily. So I just have to glue that, and then I can just pop the head right on there and then glue the head on. Okay, so before I attached the arms and legs, I decided to add some highlights. So I went ahead and added highlights to the hair, to the eyes, and to the lips, and then the bone structure on the front. Oops. And on the back, and then I also did, and then I also did the same thing with the limbs. Just a little touch. I don't want to do too much because he's going to be sitting in a silver chair, and then if I just did it too much silver, then the arms would disappear against the chair. So I did that with all the limbs, and then I did the same thing with this guy. He's going to be sitting in a golden chair. So again, I did the eyes, the hair, lips, back, the back, and then the limbs, so you can see. So I just figured it would be better to do that while before he was seated on his little saddle. Okay, so here is the silver piece, and it's pretty much finished. It's just missing the dome. And so what I've done is I've added some silver flakes to the base. And then let's see, I can zoom in here. There we go. So then I added some silver to the eye because you couldn't really see the eye because it's like the same color as the rest of the beetle. Here's the gold piece. You can see that I also added some gold flakes to the base of that just to make it more whimsical. Then I added the harness, the chain harness, and what else did I do here? Oh yeah, of course. And then I did the same thing with this beetle, or weevil. couldn't see the eyes. It was just such a strange looking creature anyways, and you really couldn't see the eyes. It almost seemed like it had no eyes. But these were the eyes, and so I wanted that to pop as well. And so I added some gold. But the crazy thing was that it looked so, I almost thought it was a mistake because it just looked so weird, like you could tell I painted it. So then I just did a couple of layers, and then I added, I don't know if you could see, but I added some texture. And then that made it look more like an eye. Okay, so here's a totally finished gold piece. Still deciding on the name for these, so anyway, as you can see, there's a little glass dome now, and it's funny, I just at the last minute decided I wanted to add a little hook with a magnifier because they're really tiny. I mean, they're like, bigger than my fingernail, really. And look at that. So I wanted people to be able to see them, and so I decided to attach this magnifier, a magnifier to each piece. Anyway, when I was starting out with this piece, I found this like old weird chain link that was like really unique from all the other stuff that I had, and I was like excited to use it. And then I was cursing the decision because I was like, oh, if only I could find a chain that would match that, which I thought, there's no way I'm gonna find a big heavy duty, because I don't want to use the same kind of chain and have somebody just try to rip it off at the gallery, like snap it or something. So I thought I was gonna have to find a different chain, but look at this. I was able to find in my collection a larger version of this style of chain link. Isn't that crazy? I was like really shocked that I had this. I guess it was meant to be. So anyway, also I forgot to mention, see the eyes? So normally I would put like gemstones. I usually put gemstones in the eyes of my creatures. That's like a signature thing I do. But this is called Tiny Terrors, and this is supposed to be a kind of freaky, scary creature. And the gemstones in the eyes make them a little bit more whimsical and less scary. And I just love the way it looks naturally. Kind of like, this like skeleton head or skull, skeleton head. Anyway, I just thought it was more appropriate for the theme of the show to have it. The eyes remain hollow. And here's what it looks like when you use the magnifier. It's pretty cool, huh? I mean, look at that. Now the only trick is getting I realized throughout the years that a lot of people don't know how to use magnifying glasses. When they have miniature pieces and they see the magnifier, a lot of them hold the magnifier up to their eye, and then like this, they're like, oh, and then they pretend to like they're seeing something. And I'm like, I know they're not seeing anything, so that's just really weird. You're supposed to put it closer to the piece, which I think people are afraid to because they're afraid to hit the glass. But well, whatever, we'll see. Here is the silver piece with the silver magnifier. I was able to find, this is kind of a standard kind of chain link anyways, but I was surprised I was able to find such a heavy duty version that was still not like a giant chain. That was like the biggest one I could find, and it actually really matched very well. So I was really excited about that. So here's what it looks like with this little cute dome. And then here's what it looks like, again, with the magnifier.